Nate.
Ernie. How's it going, buddy?
I made it, man.
You did. I am so proud of you.
On all 5 cylinders.
Yeah, 5 cylinders of fury. Gotta love that Chevy life, man.
Hey, man. The noise didn't get louder, so I just kept on driving.
Yeah. Well, our 2 guests today, I did notice, did not show up in Chevys. One was a Mazda and one was a Toyota. Both very reliable brands. Maybe you should take notes from them.
All my Chevy folks, I need you to go in here and give Nate some love. We're going to have to indoctrinate him over to the Chevy world.
It was 3 Ford dudes showed up, and one dude who had to drive a Ford to show up. I'm just saying.
Well, we'll have to see.
Yeah. Yeah, but anyway, we have got some new guests on here, completely different from what we normally do. Some circle track racers, promoters, and volunteers at Wake County Speedway. We've got Mr. William Brown, and we've got Mr. Mark Arsen.
Arsen, yes.
Arsen, okay.
Arsen with an E.
Arsen with an E. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us there.
I'm looking forward to hearing from you. I grew up around, my dad was a mechanic by trade, so he had some customers that were racers. So we had a few cars in the shop, round track cars. They were dirt mostly, but round track cars was pretty cool.
Ernie, I want to come to your rescue too, because I grew up a Chevy guy. My dad only owned Chevys, Palace Super Sports back in the day.
That's right.
And my first car was a Camaro Raleigh Sport. My second car was a Camaro. My third car was a Camaro Super Sport. So
Finally upgraded to that.
But
SS.
in between there, I got a few Miatas, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Well, my first was a Volkswagen, a 60 Volkswagen, and
Don't tell your age now.
I don't care. You know, age is a relative thing.
The 60 Volkswagen is a pretty short car.
I feel like that's a good place to kick off, gentlemen, with the what got you guys into this world of cars and racing and all this stuff?
I was getting ready to tell you. I went from a Volkswagen. My dad said, learn to drive.
Mm-hmm.
And then I immediately went to a 69 GTO.
There you go.
So no power to unlimited power.
Yeah.
You know? So
now, but was your first car a straight shift or was it a manual?
It was straight shift. Everything. Yeah, and then I went
they
to...
They say it don't have power, but revving it up and dropping that clutch, you know you tried to spin
it was a Volkswagen that was that. You know, the Pontiac was, the GTO was a gate.
Oh,
you know, the Hearst gate.
Wow.
And that was, but that was interesting. I called it my chick magnet. Okay, it was red, black vinyl top, red line tires.
Oh,
just absolutely fabulous car.
Yeah, you don't really see red line tires anymore. I see them at a few car shows now and then, but really unique.
There are companies that make them just for the people that own the classics. From what I've seen, you know, online and so forth.
There's a collector that owns that car in Raleigh, and I have seen it at a car show, and he's got red lines on it.
Oh, wow.
So
that's got to make you feel good when you see that again. But so your first car was a Volkswagen. Then you jumped right into the Speed Demon. So where did you go from there? Is that what gave you your passion for cars and going fast to get you where you are now? Or tell us a little bit about your story.
No, from there I went to a Dodge van. I was a surfer, and I was an inland surfer, and Greenville was a jumping off point because it was closer to the beach. So if I wanted to cut class, I'd take my to the beach.
Yes, sir.
And that was my.
It's not far at all.
That was it. I went that, and then the other cars were just regular mainstream cars. After that, got rid of the van, got married. You know, so.
Yeah, that was one of my favorites. I bought my car right before I got married, and my best friend showed the car I was buying to his wife, and she goes, "He's getting married. Why is he buying this car?" And he goes, "He's getting married. That's why he's buying this car. It's his last chance."
Well, the van was tricked out. Okay, I really enjoyed doing that. I mean, when I got it, it was a tradesman van. It was heavy duty. I got a great deal on it. Bought it brand new, but it had a 410 rear end in it. And I pretty much, I didn't want that. So I changed the rear end, tricked it all out inside. And back then I had really long hair, and you would get pulled a lot, right? And it became a thing where these cops would pull me and they go, wow, can I see in your van? So, yeah, you had to go and you'd open it up and you'd do that. And they would call their buddies to come look at it. So that's pretty much what I've done all my life. I became a builder.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I've used at Wake County, is to use my building skills and vision to try to make the track mow better.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what I've been doing.
Now, you say you tricked out that van. I believe I've been past Wake County Speedway a few times, but have you been able to trick out the track like you did the inside of that van? I mean, I'm intrigued now to go check out your track. I want to go see what stuff you've done to it.
Dude, I tell you, I have done stuff. When I went out there, I was motivated. My son got into racing 11 years ago. And how that happened was he was with somebody, and they were doing kart racing, and they would go and race karts. And then they kind of stepped up to a legend car, and my son became kind of his crew chief. But he was also a bowler. He's a professional bowler now. Travels the country doing that. He's a civil engineer, racer, father. Because I told him, I said, as a young man, you got to go get it, because life is a blur. Mm-hmm. It'll go by so fast. And that's just part of what I've been doing. Is we got into it 11 years ago. But I told him, I said, look, he was going to state. We used to chase trains, go to McDonald's playgrounds, and he wanted to be a train engineer. I said, no, son, they travel a lot. You probably wouldn't have a good family. So I got in to be a civil engineer. I challenged him in school. I said, if you graduate, I'll buy you a race car. And he graduated. And I bought him a little race car. We didn't know anything about it. We went in blindfolded. We were, blindfolded. We tried to ask people around here, but you guys are straight line. You don't go ask somebody that's really competitive how to beat them.
No.
They're not going to tell you that. So we struggled there for a while. We went and bought a car, and we had a race car. We were racers. Mm-hmm. We had a trailer. We were racers. So the bonding experience, I can't tell you how valuable and how that enhanced my life with my son. We were figuring it out together. Mm-hmm. And the way we got better was we drew a bigger circle. We went to Charlotte and that area where you don't compete with people, and they would tell you what to do. And he's evolved now. He's getting ready to do Asphalt Nationals next week at Dominion Speedway in Virginia. So, but he fooled me when he graduated. And I didn't think that he would do it, but I told him, and my buddy and I, we said, they're going to get rid of you. They're going to weed you out. But see, with me growing up, everybody told me I couldn't do something. Oh, God. Mm-hmm. That was the gas you needed. That just made me want to do it better than anybody thought. So that's pretty much it. He's been in it for 11 years.
So he started out racing at Wake County, or where did he start out at?
We started out kind of at Wake County, but we would travel around. We'd go to different tracks and try that. We go to Southern National. We go to
Florence, right?
Florence. Well, we didn't race Florence. We raced Dillon, South Carolina. But we went everywhere besides that. But I did not get involved. I didn't know the promoter. We went through 2 promoters before I met Mr. Charlie Hansen. And Charlie at a banquet said, I need help. But he wanted IT help, want my cup of tea. So one day we're out practicing, and we have an infield bathroom. And oh my God, I'm into curb appeal because I was a builder. Mm-hmm. And I've always believed anything that looks good is probably going to work the way it should. So I'm back there, and the whole back side of this building, the fascia on it was falling off. It was rotted. And you go in to use the bathroom, and there was no water because the plumbing had frozen. You can identify with that. Mm-hmm. Okay, PVC and it just didn't break. It just shreds.
Oh yeah.
So I told him I would help him. Do you have any power? Yes. No, he said no. I said, well, I got battery. I can do it. You got the material? Yeah, we got the material. Wrong material. I went and bought it. I started there. That was the day, and I tell everybody it was just like stepping on chewing gum at that point. You try to get it up with the other foot, before you know it, you got it all over you. Mm-hmm. And that was my start with Mr. Hansen. I met Mr. Hansen in 2019, and I started this. And then he said, I started doing all this stuff, just trying to fix it up. My first thing, I did that, and I'd walk around painting rusted fence poles with paint, just spray cans.
Yep.
Somebody said, have y'all sold a track? I said, no. Well, just trying to improve it. And I told Charlie, I said, the better we make this look, the more successful we'll be. And lo and behold, he came back and he says, we're going to go NASCAR. I went, holy crap. So we became NASCAR in 2020. But everybody knows what came about in 2020. Mm-hmm. We went down to Daytona. We're introduced as the new kids on the block, so to speak. Come back to COVID. Mm-hmm. So we couldn't fly the NASCAR banner that year. We couldn't have anything to do. So I tell everybody, it's like they put us back in the incubator, and we just did things. But everybody was going, oh, woe is me, woe is me. I said, no. Don't look at it that way. We've got a year to improve this place. And that's what we did. I mean, I jumped out there, and with the help of a lot of racers, there's racers that really wanted to help. I got this guy, Matt Hill, with M&M Steel. Mm-hmm. I could tell him what I wanted. He would exceed my dreams by 100%. I've never met people like that. But racers that really had the ability to help, stepped it up, and helped make Wake County what it is now. Mm-hmm. I mean, we changed the flag stand. I could show you pictures of the old ones and the new one, and you go, oh, my God. I mean, we had, for our national anthem singer, they had to kind of jump down off of this wall. Mm-hmm. Had a little foothold. You had to turn around. I went, or they had to walk down to turn one and then walk back up. I went, no, we're going to build some stairs. So I showed him like what we had, and he said he took what my dream. And Mark, you'll attest to this.
Well, hold on, did you custom make those stairs?
I custom made those stairs.
Portable.
You got it, buddy.
Wow. So y'all got to come out just to see the stairs.
Yeah, I'm getting intrigued, man. I mean, I'm hearing all the details that he speaks about in his minds and how he sees things. It sounds like he sees things with a mechanical mind, even though he's a builder. And that's like you were relating to as far as racers, the racers community. We see it in drag racing as well. There are so many smart people in this deal, and a lot of people you wouldn't even think have the capabilities of what they have.
Correct.
And they're standing right next to you. And, that's one thing I would love to see more in the racing community. A lot of us are hesitant to help nowadays because you don't know how it's perceived. But there are so many people. When I go out to the track, I'm there to have fun. Whether I'm watching the racing or if I'm underneath someone's car or helping them take their transmission out. I mean, sometimes I might go there to watch the racing, but if I'm there helping someone tear the rear end out, even though I paid to get in and I'm in there working, it's fun. It's most of the time I go to the track to take my mind off the world outside of the track.
Amen, brother. Amen.
So even just yesterday, I happened to be at an event and I was standing. You guys wouldn't like it. But I was standing probably 5 feet from the cars where they were taking off. That's what I do is photography. And someone said, man, how can you do that, man? You're brave. I said, no, I'm out here actually relaxing. They said, I don't get it. I said, my full-time job is I work, and I'm standing in the road a lot of the times for my day job. So there at the track, those guys are focused, razor sharp focus, even the round track guys. I mean, they're focused on what they're doing. They're listening to every aspect of their car. They feel every little vibration. They could tell you which wheel it is, which wheel they think they have a loose lug nut, if the rear end's acting up, if it's a rock alarm on the right side or left side. I mean, there's laser focus out here in the world. Everyone's so distracted. So whenever I go to the track, it's like whether it be round track or drag race, it's like everyone's focused on the same thing, having a good time, watching some competitive racing, and actually stepping in and helping where they can. So that's one thing I love about the racing world, wherever it is. But the fact you just learned about something right underneath, literally underneath your feet.
He thought it was bought.
Yeah.
But it came from...
It looks so good.
It came from what I wanted and somebody else's ability to produce it. I mean, he would come out, he would help core bore for fence posts, and just, I mean, he built the flag stand. We got a tub flag stand, which overlooks, you can stand up in it, and the cars come under the flag stand. So with a great bottom, you can see the cars come under, and when the flagman's up there, he's basically over top of the car when he's doing his flag waving. And it has just been, but I tell everybody, going out there is like eating an elephant. It was so big and so much. I'd go out there one day and I'd say, where was I? Doing stuff. But I've done so much stuff. But my crown achievement out there is I built a wall out of pipe, out of high pressure gas line pipe that they were tearing out of they were redoing the 42 in Clayton. And I had told Charlie Hanson, I said, I'm gonna rebuild that wall, and it had creosote telephone poles in it, and 3 or 4 of them would be missing. They were all, they just look bad. You could see the legend cars would go around and they'd hit it and they'd get a tire hung in it, and they'd have to reclip the car.
It was the inside of turn 2. It's kind of like a retaining wall. Correct. From where the inner pit area is.
But I went and priced 8-inch water line, the blue
stuff's
green.
Expensive.
Yeah, and it was like $10,000, and we were, I had champagne dreams and a water budget.
Yeah.
So we were just trying to do what, that track was there because the people that put it there they grew up when you saved everything. You repurposed everything. So in that theme, one day he said he was actually working 2 tracks. He was working at Southern National also, so he had to travel that way. He sent me a picture and he said, Mr. Brown, do you think this might work? I said, I don't know, I'll go check it out. So I went, it took me 2 days to talk to somebody, and finally there was a trash pile that they had been tearing out all of this gas line. And the guy told me from PSNC, he said, you can have all you want. Oh my God, we went down and loaded that stuff up, and I could just see it finished before we started. But we pulled out all the creosote telephone poles, and everybody goes, oh, that was easy. You just put the pipe back in, Well, Mother Nature has a different story.
Oh, yes.
We have 13-degree banking. You got a hole down there, and this thing called rain. Where does it go?
Lowest
it goes straight down. Well, you go and you pump it out, and you'd be, oh, yeah, I'll come back tomorrow and I'll start. You come back the next day, and it had collapsed. So you had to dig it all out. And back in 2020, I was doing all this. When we cut it all to pieces that I needed, but I would go out daily and install like 12 feet of doing it. And I was doing it all by eye, screwing it together. And I used my eye to do the whole turn of, I forget, 289 pieces of this stuff in the ground. And I'm pretty sure it's one of a kind in North Carolina.
So in y'all's opinion, for all tracks, not just circle, not just drag, just all tracks, how important is constant improvements to the track? Because like Galat is a great example, right? That place used to be kind of a dump back in the day, and then a guy came in and bought it, renovated the entire place. Now it's one of the nicest tracks in the state.
See, that was
right?
one of my...
And then we have, I'm not trying to pick on it, but Kinston, right? It's an older track, and like they really don't. The bathrooms, great example. they're really nasty. They need a facelift. They need to be brought up into 2020 at least.
Well, you're plumber by trade.
Mm-hmm.
I go to a driver and say, "Where's your wife?" "Well, she won't come." "Why?" "Because your bathrooms are deplorable."
Mm-hmm.
"Really?" So I went and tore out all the commodes.
Mm-hmm.
Did them all. Replumbed all the bathrooms. And then he bought a trailer bathroom. We had a trailer bathroom there. Well, you go and, the trailer was plumbed with PEX.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody had hooked it up from where the water came in with PVC, and it had blown all the heck. So you had to go. I went back and put, the good stuff in
Mm-hmm.
to make that work. But it's just, and then we got it good, and then the wires would come back, and then you get this thing, "Can you put a mirror in?" I went, "Yes, ma'am, I can."
Mm-hmm.
Changed all the toilet tissue holders, all the soap dispensers, put fans in the bathrooms.
Next season, we're going to have air conditioning.
We're going to have air conditioning.
Oh.
Because leave us
You
to
guys
our
wanna
own
get there
devices without
early.
any women involved, and we're kind of nasty, right?
Yeah.
We can live with kind of nasty.
We just need a tree.
Yeah, we just need a tree, right? But yeah, if we want, I want my wife to come to the track, and there's some tracks she's like, absolutely, I'll be there. Galot, she'll come to Galot, no problem. There's other tracks I'm like, hey, we're going here. She go, cool, have a good time.
I think it has paid dividends, don't you, Mark?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you've got to keep up your facilities, and and we go to other circle tracks, for to see a certain race for whatever reason. But we all also have our eyes peeled for how are they doing things, and how do things look at this facility, and a lot of times we'll get ideas to bring back to Wake County Speedway, and not necessarily just tracks in North Carolina, but when we make these trips down for the NASCAR meetings right before the season in February, we go to the circle tracks, the local tracks, around the Daytona area, and have brought ideas back to Wake County. Yeah.
So there's three things I want to touch on from what we just spoke on. One was if you're getting air conditioning in the bathroom, you're going to have to get there early. If you're attending their races, it's going to fill up now. Number two is getting out of that circle. I see a lot of racers and even track owners that it pays dividends to go to another event. If you are a track manager or track owner, go to those other tracks. Study the people, study the flow, study what's working. And a lot of people won't even know who you are when you go there. You go there kind of incognito and just hang around and just talk with the spectators and ask them what they like about those venues. You can learn a lot that you could take back to your track. And two, like you were saying about upgrades, as far as event planning and planning a race or an event for that weekend, it is just that significant how much toilet paper you have. A lot of people don't understand. They think it's about getting the people in the gate, having the surface great, having a great event, but you have to have everything lined up. I mean, you're basically entertaining. Me and Nate speak about this a lot. When you're hosting a race, people could go to a concert that weekend. They could go to a ball game or go to many venues, but they chose yours. Why? That's what a lot of promoters and a lot of racetrack owners. I think some of them have got so consistent in doing that they've got away from why are these people here? Why are they here to see their friends that brought their cars, or are they here to be entertained? And so we have to find that fine line in the racing community and kind of strengthen that some more.
Well, see, Mr. Hansen, he is a great promoter by making it a show. We involve kids. I mean, we had this thing called a candy drop. We have bike races. We have bike giveaways. Because mom and dad going to tell, they're going to do what the kids want to do. Mm-hmm. So if they bring the kids and they have a good time, we got a great facility. We're working on making it great. It's good, I think, right now, presentable. So we're really working hard to make it a family atmosphere. So with that, like you say, they could go anywhere else. But these kids are going to remember the candy drops. I go out there, I work all during the week, and on Friday I'll work up to like 12 o'clock, go home, get my golf cart, ferry it back out, and then I set up in turn one with my family, my 2 grandchildren, my wife, my daughter-in-law, and we watched my son race. And we watched all of it from right there. So it has been fun to see them enjoy that, and they love all of it. I mean, we do the national anthem and Rockets Red Glare. We do fireworks.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And people love that.
And we don't just play a recording. We get a singer
A real singer.
Yeah.
for every race.
You get usually try to get a local singer or someone that you know. Or
Yes.
Well, believe it or not, there are people now that really want to do that.
Yeah.
Because we have, I've been there when they want that good crowds. We actually have, well, I would say, Mark, standing room only times.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, for a handful of races, yeah.
I mean, I pride myself in the parking lots. When I first got there, when we started doing it, they would just go out and mark lines every 60 feet. I mean, and it would be by eye running down. It looked like a snake. And they weren't sectioned off. And I looked at it and I went, oh, my God, I can bring order to this chaos. So I took it upon myself to mark it like a professional parking lot to try to bring order to chaos. And I believe it helped, don't you think, Mark?
Yeah, it's helped out a lot. I mean, he gets out there. He doesn't just make the lines for the rows. He puts the hash marks for each space.
Nice.
Of course, there's some people going to do what they're going to do, but
Well, you got the
but
guys.
it helps out a lot.
Yeah, you got the guys that say, I don't want my doors beaten.
Yeah.
They're going to pull into 2 spaces. You can't help that. But
It's,
we have a parking attendant that tries to help them somewhat. I emphasize somewhat. So,
Well, hey, I'm going to mention something. I don't know. I'm guessing you had a part to play in this leading up to the Cars Tour race back in August, because that is one of our, that's a touring series, championship auto racing series. Features some of the best late model stock car drivers in the Southeast. In fact, they had their championship race last night at North Wilkesboro. So that was August 24th for us. On a Saturday, we normally run on a Friday, and just based on previous experience, we knew we were going to need more parking. And I'm always talking to Charlie or Mr. Brown or Andrew, as our assistant general manager, it's like, what are we going to do about parking? We're going to need overflow parking. So this year, these guys talked to, I guess, the church, right?
that's correct.
That is kind of on the back, excuse me, the back side of the racetrack off of US 401.
Mm-hmm.
They've got this huge 2 football field sized lot, grass field, that hasn't been used. And it's right off the back of Racetrack Road that goes around the outline of Wake County Speedway. And they talked to them and they said, hey, would you allow us to use your property? And did they seek donations for helping with the parking?
No, Charlie.
Or did they just come out and volunteer? Because some of their church people came out and volunteered to direct people to the overflow. It was an overflow lot.
Charlie just went and asked him. He did make a tithe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He made a tithe, and we had to actually cut fence to open it up. And the problem with that was, it was on the backside of our property, so
There's
the
no
people
light.
had to really walk around.
Mhm.
Well, we put a light tower back there and all, but people that really wanted to watch racing, it was not that far to walk. I mean, you probably had less to walk than if you went to the fair today and had
Yes.
to park and walk.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was you were right there by our new scoreboard, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. But yeah, we opened that up. And we got a lot of people in there, but we have had, it's like standing room only, which is, it really warms my heart to know that I've been there long enough to see car count go up, the quality of racing improve with the drivers we're getting. We've produced 2 state champions out of that track.
Yeah, 2 in a row, 2 years in a row.
And one of them now he's racing truck series. Lane Riggs. His dad was Scott Riggs. And Lane was a state champion. National champion.
National champion.
National champion.
Yeah, that was 2022.
Yeah.
And then that same year, our Clay Jones in late model won the state championship and our track championship. And then 2023, Tyler Matthews, who actually is based out of Richlands near Jacksonville, would come up to Wake County every Friday night. He did not win our track championship because Clay won it again. Clay's good. Well, both of them are. But Tyler had enough points because he went to other racetracks, like Fridays and Saturdays, that he won the state championship. So we could claim that, we were his home track. So we had a state champion those 2 years in a row, and then a national champion on top of that, Lane Riggs, even though we weren't really his home track, but he used our track. He raced 5 or 6 times at our track, won one race, and all those points went into him, winning that national championship. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, our thing is we produce champions.
Yes, we produce champions. And not to leave out, because because this driver that I'm going to mention, who I'm going to say, is an up and coming late model driver, Carson Hayslip, phenomenal legend driver for I don't know what
he won
2 years
everything.
Won everything. Won the track championship,
national champion
2 years in a row, and then the national championship in. They have different age levels and divisions and experience within Legend. Legend are these 3/4 size 1930s coupes replicas, right? Like Ford coupes.
I wouldn't say 5, maybe 5/8.
5/8.
Yeah.
I'm never
3/4. That's a little bit bigger, but that's a sprint.
On my math, my engineering, that's not me. But so he won the national championship in 2023 and our track championship and state championship. And now he's up in late model.
But because of that, you wouldn't believe how many people wanted to come and beat him or race against the best. Guys are straight shoot. You know the good guys, and everybody wants to beat the best.
Oh yeah.
Or you want to see where you stack up with the best. And now we repaved the track 2 years now.
Yeah.
So what led to that decision?
Of what?
Repaving the track.
Paving.
Because that's a big.
It needed
that's a big
it.
expense.
We got some pandemic relief money from the state of North Carolina.
That was one of the few good things that come out of the pandemic.
Correct. We paved the track, and every time my son and I would go somewhere, I would promote, come race with us, come race. And this was before we paved. And then we paved. When my son was racing there, we might have 5, 6, 7 cars. Now, we might have 30. 30. We're actually doing a spring series this year, starting in February, called the Bull Bash. Mark and I were at Martinsville, and Mark said, we need to name this series. And I just looked him straight in the face, and I just said, Bull Bash.
Bull Bash. So then I started drawing up logos for it.
And it just hit. It hit really good. But the only thing they added to it, and I think you did it, they put spring series.
Winter. Well, it's a winter
series. Yeah. Winter series. And people are excited because here we are, we're starting in the winter.
Yeah, we never have done that at Wake County, to my knowledge.
Water freezes. We've got outdoor bathrooms. So, we're going to have heat, and everybody's going, well, that's good for inside. What about underneath? I'm going, oh, I didn't think about that. I can put little heaters in our down, but
if you can keep the water moving, it won't freeze.
Well, that's interesting. To drip, drip, drip. Just something to move.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times what I'll do for like a pool house, right? Like a lot of pool houses get shut down, but some of them you can't get all the water out of it.
Right.
So we have actually what's called a trap primer under one of the floor drains. And we just leave that sucker partly open all throughout the winter, and it just runs. Your water bill will be a little bit higher, but none of it freezes. And I can
consult you, right?
Give me a call, man. Give me a call.
Absolutely.
I'm going to give you one of my cards.
I'm after ideas, okay? Because
you see where I live. I'm only 10, 20 minutes from the track.
Yeah,
I'll come help.
We're going to somewhere we've never been before. So this is all new. I know that the plumbing's good. We got this one that's marginal.
The bathroom underneath the family grandstand.
The family grandstand.
That's an original, I guess, right?
It is, except for the toilets. I replaced all the toilets in it because
I don't think we've mentioned this track was built in 1962.
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask you. You know, earlier you were speaking about your idea and turning, when you were creating the steps. I wanted to see, where did the grand idea for the Wake County Speedway come from? I mean, I grew up learning about the craze of NASCAR and how it started at Daytona. Is this something that spawned off of that?
Well, it started out as a dirt track. It was actually, the property we were on was a junkyard. And you had Glenn Simpkins, Talmadge Simpkins, and there's one left. There's one Simpkins left, Curtis Simpkins. And he's really trying to help us. And the Simpkins garage is still at our front gate, which is in need of repair, but we don't really own the rights to go up there and just make it what we envision it to be.
Mm-hmm.
That would make a cool business office for selling merchandise and stuff.
Oh,
the track isn't open,
Well, we one of our sponsors is Mojo's in Cary. I don't know if you've ever been there.
Mm-hmm.
And, he's a car guy. And they have the first Saturday of every month, he has a car show there. Well, you go in and you see these old pictures of the old service stations. And what I envisioned was turning that into like one of the old type service stations. And it could be a memorabilia, kind of thing, but that's, we're concentrating on the track, but that's our entrance. That's what everybody sees when they come and they go, why don't you put a tarp on it? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Stuff's easier said than done. Mm-hmm. They really don't know. They'd have to walk a mile in our shoes, so to speak.
Well, after this podcast, we'll get the fans and spectators stirred up. See if we can get that going.
Well, I'd love for you to get them stirred up enough to help me get a daggum fence out there by the highway at Simpkins Road to tell people where we are, because we used to have one.
That was I was going to comment on that.
Yeah.
Like the entrance is kind of, it's not as obvious as I thought it would be. The first time I drove right past it the first time.
Yeah, it's not. And the sad thing, because I came in to help out with the operation a little bit in 2021. And it was through my involvement with Leith, because we started advertising out there with a billboard on the back stretch, and then looking at the Wake County Speedway website and the Facebook social media. I told Charlie after that season, I said, for us to really get our bang for the buck, our ROI, could you use some help with your social media and your website? Because at the time I was just helping them make digital flyers,
mm-hmm.
post for each race. And he said yes. So I said, all right, well, you got to have a new website, because and so I built them a new website during December, January of 2021 into 2022 to get it ready for that 22 season. And that 2022 season, and you can vouch, my gosh, that opening race, April 1st, I think it was, April Fool's Day, talking about standing room only. And Charlie told me that afternoon as I was walking up to the race tower and he passed me, he said, we're gonna have our tail handed to us. And I thought, what do you mean? He was afraid that there were so many people coming, there's no way they could be happy with what we do tonight. They're going to complain. But it turned out it was over the top, beyond anyone's dreams. I asked for permission to add a pre-race concert to the festivities, because NASCAR started doing that stuff on the Cup level. And so I had a motley crew, true band, mostly crew, who was out of this area.
I'm familiar with them.
Probably your neighbors. Open up the show. And we asked the fans to come down on the front stretch and fill it in like you would right in front of the stage. And the cool thing about Wake County, it's got, well, I guess you guys, do you weigh cars?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
so Wake County Speedway, for 30 years had scales.
A grain scale.
A grain scale that was.
We still have. We're remodeling our inside building, and we still have all the apparatus that goes to that.
It's right at the start finish line. So like whereas most racetracks, it's just flat from the infield pits to the front stretch. Well, at Wake County, there's a ramp that goes up where that scale used to be. So I put the band on that ramp because that's our victory lane. Our victory lane, the drivers are up, in view of the crown.
You actually used a rollback too, didn't you?
And I brought a rollback in case we needed it, and I had the drummers sitting on the rollback, and the rest of the band was on the
I'm
stage.
I'm picturing all this in my head.
Yeah,
it was a sight to behold.
So talking about, a show, a spectacle, and then we had the great racing and just if there was ever such a thing as a sellout at Wake County Speedway, that night was it. Well over 2,000 people. And of course the parking was crazy.
But we had been preparing, just like with 2020, when we worked so hard to do that. We knew, I told everybody that we're going to have a wow factor when 2021 came around. And lo and behold, when people came back, they knew what it looked like in 2019. They missed all of 2020. When they come back in 2021, everybody's going, wow, look at this, and you're around it all the time, so you really don't appreciate exactly what you've done. You have to kind of hear it from other people, how much they appreciate. And we have some really rabid fans. We open our gate at 6 o'clock. There are people there at 4:30 to want to get in to get their favorite seat.
Yeah. And it's going to be even worse with that air conditioning in the women's bathroom.
Well, one of my dreams is I had dreamed about a suite. We don't have suites. We don't have air conditioned sitting and stuff. And I said, that's in the future. Hopefully, it's
Galot has a really nice suite setup, and I didn't know that they had it. I was out there at a race. It was like 110. Everyone's sweating to death, and they come over the loudspeaker and say, "Hey, by the way, we have suite seats available. It's $100 a ticket, but it has air conditioning." Best $100 I ever spent. I spent it instantly, and I was in there. I was like, man, look at all the poor people. Just sitting up there.
Well,
so comfortable.
Been there, done that.
But that's show business.
Well, and there's a couple other tracks. We saw Rockingham, the Speedway, and the drag strip. They got some funding as well. So they've been doing renovations. It reminded me of their tower. They just got a real nice location in their tower. They redid it.
Yeah, they just built a restaurant set up in there on the upper part of their tower, looking over the track, and it's gorgeous.
It's first class.
It's
I don't
really
know.
pretty.
It looks like a country club almost, but I would hope that we would continue to see funds poured into these venues. And now you said that it was established in the 60s.
It's 1962.
Now is it registered as a historical landmark at this point, or is that something in the possibilities? Or
let me tell you something. We've got a gentleman, and Mark came along, and he upped what he does, and he's been so instrumental in the success of what we have.
Getting the word out, it matters so much.
What we have is we have sponsors, I think, waiting now to buy banners for our backstretch. When I got there, they could put the banners up in like 2 hours. Now it takes them all day to put them up.
Or some might be, contingency banners.
Correct.
So you get them from NASCAR, for the NASCAR sponsors, and they're kind of filler. I mean, you don't have to put them up. It's nice if you can, nice if you have the space. But now, there's no room for those. They're all sold.
He is so good at what he does, and we were blessed with another gentleman that just came along, like somebody just went here. His name is Andrew Tyree. He's been instrumental with working with the government, and I can't tell you what, he's really a relief to me, because it used to be all just me and Charlie. And we were going, we kind of reminisce sometimes and go, how in the world did we do it? Because now there's so many moving parts. It was so simple when we started. It was simple. But it has become the snowball, so to speak. Mm-hmm. I mean, we had this old scoreboard that was moved by hand. you guys go and you can see your time. When you go down the track, you see it immediately. Didn't happen. There was no fans, and no fan could really enjoy seeing the time. And I said, we got to get a new scoreboard. No, we don't need a new scoreboard. I said, yes, we do. If we're going to go forward, we need a new scoreboard. So I contacted Daktronics, which is pretty much the premier people that build those. And I got them going, got it going. I said, Charlie, all you got to do is figure out how to pay for it and tell them when to bring it. And lo and behold, I convinced him enough that he bought it. So he said, how are we going to put it up? Well, here we go back to racers helping the track. Well, I had these couple of guys, and they would go, I said, well, this is what we're going to do. He said, they would come out there and they'd go back and look at our old one, every time. And then the board came in and we housed it up in a semi-trailer where we keep our tires. So it was sitting up there, and they keep looking at it. And I said, well, how long will it take you to put it in? He said, 3 days. I said, okay. So we had some downtime. I opened the gate one day. They went in, had the machinery and everything, and they had gone through their mind exactly what they had to do, what they needed to make it happen. They took the old board down and put the new board up in 3 hours. 3 hours. This was Gregory Development. You had their equipment there. And then we got Daniel Van Cannon with his, what's this called? Everything Metal?
Everything Metal in NC.
Yeah, and, they came out and they did all of this, and there we had a new scoreboard. Well, I was sitting up when we activated it, and I'd be sitting up there, and there'd be a lady going, we were watching qualifying, and we could see the times, and it would list everybody across there. She said, this is the most excited I've ever been watching qualifying. Mm. I knew we had a hit right then. Now, we were having glitches when we first put it up, and when it wouldn't go up, people were missing it already. It was new. It was new to us. We had some board problems. They fixed that, I think.
Well, from the heat.
Yeah. So we figured out you got to air condition the board.
Yeah, we got cool air blowing on it now.
Yeah. So that edition, and
well, go ahead and tell them about the big surprise that people are going to see in 25.
Well, I had envisioned when the scoreboard, I had looked at how to showcase the drivers. And I just said, God, it would be so cool that when we're introducing the drivers, we had profiles that we could show on a video board. And lo and behold, we got a video board going up as we speak. It's in the process of going up right over my scoreboard, our scoreboard, just like I had envisioned. Mm. So we've got a streaming partner now that will be able to show, because what they'll do is they'll be up in the booth, and they go, oh, and the replay shows, all the people up there calling the race can see replays on their monitors. And everybody else is going, what? Yeah, what's going on? What's going on? So this is what got me. One of my grandchildren, there was a wreck in 3 and 4. She said, Granddaddy, let's go see. I said, Kinley, we cannot go on the track. She says, no, follow me. Well, I had tried to convince them that people in line for the concessions were missing the race. So they put a monitor up so the line could watch the race as they were waiting in line to get their food. She took me around there, and she said, Granddaddy, there it is. They're showing the replay. And lo and behold, this is a 7-year-old.
Sometimes I stand there and watch it.
And that's it. But it's fan involvement. You got to listen to your fans. Exactly. You got to know exactly what turns them on. And so this is what's driven me. And you used the word dump. Yeah. Well, that was one of my driven words. I had heard it called that, and I said, my son's not going to race at a dump. I don't want other kids to race at a dump.
Mm-hmm.
There was some other people that used a little harsher words that I can't really use now. But one of the words is whole, okay, with the word in front of it. And that really drove me to do, but really listening to the fans and listening to the drivers.
It does matter. It makes a world of difference. And those are your patrons, and those are the ones that either people are coming with or they're coming to see. They're bringing somebody with them. And if they get to the point, if they go to another facility and it's fulfilling their needs and it's a better venue, not just for them as a racer, but for their whole family, they might have to travel another 30 minutes to an hour to get there. But overall, are they just doing better there as a competitor, or is it going to be a better experience for the whole family? Because a lot of racers, they do want to take their wives to the track. Some of them, they don't because of facilities. But
Ryan's informed me until I get a toter home, she's not coming anywhere that doesn't have AC.
We're going to get you a camper to go on the back of your Ford, man.
Yeah.
It'll tote the car and the camper.
Yeah, I don't know. I was like, your standards have gone way up above where my budget is.
Do you trailer your car to the track?
I do.
Does it have air conditioning?
No, not yet.
It's got a blower motor.
Well, see, my son just upped his trailer. He just purchased a new trailer with air conditioning in it for his family comfort when they're at the track, because the little kid, we get them pit passes.
Yep.
So they can be up around Dad. And so it's
that is the one cool part about drag racing is every ticket's a pit pass, right? It's because, basically where the stands are is where we all have to park our trailers and stuff. And it is really cool that people just get to come up and see the cars sitting there in between runs.
Well, see, we got a grandstand that we have an upper pit and a lower pit. The lower pit is the inside of the track. The upper pit is the upper pit. And we've got a grandstand that people can look over and see the activity on the upper pit. And plus to see what's going on in. But it's just the evolution of the track has been so much fun. And like he was talking about Carson Hayslip, I've seen the kids start in a bando, go to a legend car, and now he's in a late model. So to see kids enjoy that track, and then other people, I mean, we got Charlotte people driving down to just experience Wake County Speedway.
Well, that's something I wanted to ask you about. So someone coming to the track for the first time, what would they typically experience on a Friday night? They come in to pay their admission at the gate, but what are your heats that you run? Is there a class that runs at a certain time? Like you have a band, you go to a concert, you have an opener, and then you have the main event. So take us through what would happen on a typical race night. Is there one set race and they have several heats, or is it different classes that run throughout the night?
It's different classes. So our regular classes, the heavyweights, like the late models, they will race 2 weeks on, 1 week off, 2 weeks on, like that. And in between, there's a class that similar to late models are called Chargers at Wake County Speedway. They'll fill in as the feature headline race for that night. So those are usually towards the end of the program, unless they're running twin races. And then the other classes, like Mr. Brown has mentioned, the legend cars, they race just about every week. They might have one or two Fridays off during the whole season. The Bandoleros are the smallest, they're the entry-level cars that the kids are racing from 9 years old, 9 years old, up to like 12 before they move up to legend. They race just about every Friday night too, and beginners class.
And break it down for us, someone who's outside looking in. The Bandoleros to the late models, are the tire sizes about the same, or do they have to run different size engines, cylinders?
There are rules for every class. So you got Hoosier is our main sponsor tire there, and the Bandos run Hoosier tires, the Legends run Hoosier tires, the late models run Hoosier tires.
Is there a certain width or size on those tires?
Yes. They're all regulated by The Inex is in with the Legends and the Bandos. So they tell them exactly what tire they have to run. Okay. And the late models are the same. We actually have a tire program. We sell tires to them. We sell tires. We sell fuel. You don't have to buy fuel from us, but you have to buy the tires from us. But like you say a while ago, what happens when you walk in the gate? If you get there, we open up at 6 o'clock. There's practice. You can watch them practice. All the classes are rotating class practice. You can watch them all practice. So they'll have 2 rounds of practice. And then you can watch them all qualify. So there's something to do to watch the whole time. We usually, and then we have the pre-show activities, national anthem, the prayer.
It's like from 8 to 8:30.
The candy drop,
yeah,
bike race, or anything that we've had planned. I mean, it might be. We have ride-alongs. That's very popular, but we try to put all this in from 8:30 to 11. So we pretty much have to be spot on to meet the noise ordinance.
Because we got 6 classes.
Correct, but there's something always to watch, and it's fun. And it used to be it was simple. We didn't have the car count, so you had all the time in the world. But now we've got full. We wouldn't say full classes all the time. You have more cars at the start of a year because these are blue collar guys, that work hard to build their cars. You can have a crash, and it might be they couldn't make the next race, but they try like hell. They stay up all night long working on it.
You've never done that before, Nate, ever?
Because they want to perform. It's in their blood. They're addicted. Racing is addictive.
Yes, we see it.
It's one of the.
We see it across the board.
I've often joke a drug addiction would be cheaper. I didn't say it would be better. I just said it would be cheaper. Because there's something about mid-season, something breaks on the car, and there's not a single thought in your head of, well, I guess we're not going to make the next race, right? No, we're going to make the next race. I just have to figure out how. We're going to get
ham and cheese sandwiches for the next month.
Yeah, maybe that next race only pays out $200, but I don't care because I'm going to be there, because I have to race. Like, I can't not do it. I've taken a year off of racing because we blew up the car. Engine total failure, and Coyotes do not grow on trees. They're very expensive motors, and we're making a bunch of changes to it. It has been killing me sitting on the sidelines watching everybody else go out there and race.
Well, you become an adrenaline junkie because the thrill. It's just like my son. He had a Subaru STI, had it decatted, everything. He was going up running Tail of the Dragon and all this stuff, and he'd get stopped. He said, "What do you stop me for?" He said, "You sound too fast." I mean, what does that mean? So, lo and behold, when I bought him the car and he put his helmet and his driving suit on and he went around the track, he said, "Dad, that is the feeling that I was looking for." Mm-hmm. He sold his car within 2 weeks. Bought him a truck. I bought him a truck. Mm-hmm. So he's been a truck guy ever since.
Yep.
And got him out of that car. Probably saved his life. And I don't know if you guys have heard Tail of the Dragon in the mountains.
I've been down it a couple times.
Okay.
I love that road. It is gorgeous. It's dangerous.
It is dangerous.
One side is a cliff mountain, and the other side is the other side of the cliff. And so if you go off on this side, you're going to bang up your car pretty bad. If you go off on this side,
you're going to bang yourself up pretty bad.
Yeah, they're going to be taking you out of there in a helicopter.
I mean, he had this car, and it was, it had it decatted. It was light as heck. It was so powerful, that little Subaru STI. Mm-hmm. And I told my wife, I said, "Ooh, that worries me." Even though I come along street racing, go out in the back country, earn date money.
Do as I say, not as I do. It's racing is one of the best sports in my opinion. In the world. I can't remember who said it. Maybe it was Senna that said it. It was racing. and fighting are the only two sports. Everything else is a game.
Well, I tell you, I was talking to you earlier about I became a surfer. And there's something about taking off on an extremely large wave and the adrenaline that's coursing through your veins as you're dropping in, and what we call it a bottom turn, when you just go down and you just pull it up. And I don't know if you're ever saying you come back up and you slap the lip and do all that. I get giddy talking about it, knowing that I did experience it. I was one that never wanted to really join the wish I had a club. Mm-hmm. When you get old, you always going, oh, God, I wish I'd have done that. It's just like I would go down there and people would tell me, oh, you should have been here to Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday. And I went, God, I'd love to do that. So when my wife graduated from state, she said, where are you going to put my resume out? She wanted to be a teacher. I said, along the coast. So she got picked up in Swansboro, so we moved down to Cape Carteret, and I became a local. You know what I told my buds when they came down there? Oh, you should have been here Tuesday. You should have been here Wednesday. So that was one of the things that I did that I didn't wish I had later on. Mm-hmm. And it's just like helping my son get into racing. That's one of the things. It's so fulfilling. Mm-hmm. And the people that don't know it, how you can bond with your son. Now, racing is a black hole. You can just shove money in it left and right, Do
you want to know how to make a small fortune in racing?
Start with a big one.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah. So but getting back to Wake County, we are with Mark coming on board and promoting that, and Andrew Tyree, he is such a great person. Now, he's a machinist at Gregory Pool. Mm-hmm. So he brings that. He's a crew chief there and got all that, and he's our scoring and timing guy. But he was a breath of fresh air when he came on. Charlie Hanson is also, he's around, but he's a showman. Mm-hmm. He's a showman. It's just like today. He couldn't make it because he's with his daughter in Charlotte at cheer camp.
Yep.
So to be with your kids and try to help them achieve their goals and help and see their passion when you can see it, in their faces.
Yeah.
And to see, I'm sitting up there with my grandchildren, and to see them cheering on their dad. So but there's so much more work to be done at Wake County. Mm-hmm. We just opened up a lower pit, got to drive up from the lower pit. We're putting fencing up. Mm-hmm. And like I said, the video board, Lord, I can't wait to see it when that activates. My whole thing was, I grew up in rock and roll. Mm-hmm. And one of my favorite songs was by Aerosmith, Dream On. And the tagline is dream on, dream until your dreams come true. And I've just kept that. And that's a driving force with me, dream on. Mm-hmm. Because without dreams, you're lost. You really don't know where you're going. You got to have a dream to drive you. And with that, Mark,
Yep.
Well, Mark, what's some new things you got coming for the website? I know you said you got the board coming. There's some things that you did change from there to now, or what is the actual website?
Oh, it's WCSpeedway.com. I'm always adding new features, hopefully to make it more functional, entertaining, informative for racers and fans. My big push since coming on board to help promote the track is to get the word out about it, so it doesn't continue to be at some point the best kept secret in Raleigh.
That's a good T-shirt though.
Yeah. But yeah, just I look at other short track websites, and some are really good, some are a little lacking, but that's not the bar that I set for Wake County Speedway when I built it. I set it to look like and feel like a NASCAR Cup track website. So like a Martinsville, or Richmond Raceway. As far as our contemporaries go, South Boston has a really good website. A lot of these short tracks, yes, you have to cater to an extent to the racers, to like Mr. Brown's son and those families. But if you're putting all your eggs in that basket, and that's a fickle. Well, all the audiences are fickle, whether it's fans or racers. But whether they come or don't come to your racetrack, that's always going to happen. But if you're only focusing on them and you forget about the fans, well, then that's when you look up there and there's nobody in the grandstands, and that's sad. I mean, I've never raced. I attempted to build a race car with a buddy of mine out of Wake Tech when we graduated from high school back in the late 80s, and we were going to race a car at Wake County Speedway. After I got to a certain point and we're getting ready to put a motor in it, and it was going to be the street stock V8 class, I started getting cold feet, and I sold it to a guy that owned a body shop because I knew he'd be able to finish it and continue on, right? So I know a little bit about that, inside. But you've got to attract the people that are, in my opinion, outside of just the hardcore racing community. And I would say the same thing for drag racing.
Yes.
It might even be tougher for you guys. I took my son to ZMAX Dragway, I don't know, 8 years ago. And when he was about 8 years old, and I had not been to a drag race, and I don't know, how long, and it was just so cool, like you said, Nate, how your pits are behind the grandstands, and that's where everything is. And the one thing I wish NASCAR, would do like the NHRA is that they don't charge to get into the pits and get right up there to the drivers and the teams and the engineers and techs working on the cars. It's amazing. So imagine if NASCAR did that, but that's another charge. But anyway, I would imagine the challenge for you guys is also the challenge for local short tracks, getting people that are outside that core audience. And I know that we're starting to do that at Wake County Speedway, or we wouldn't have crowds of 2,000 and 1,800 or whatever, and we wouldn't have some of these local businesses calling us up and contacting us to advertise because they more people are hearing about it. But my thing has just been that outreach, connecting with local city business bureaus, tourist bureaus. Visit Raleigh has been a big help to us. So I've got our schedule, posted on there and updates on there. So we get promoted, by visitraleigh.com. We have the local magazines, Fuquay or Anger or Raleigh or whatever come around. Sir Walter magazine, was that one of them?
That's true.
Did an interview with Mr. Brown. This is all within the past 2, 3, 4 years, doing stories on Wake County Speedway. WRAL, what's the series, the ongoing series that the guy, Tar Heel Traveler, came around, did a story. Of course, our 60th anniversary helped out a lot, because they were able to tell the story about, this track is this old racetrack's just outside of downtown Raleigh. I mean, we're 15 minutes from downtown. There are these beautiful drone shots of Wake County Speedway at night, and you can see the downtown skyline in the distance on the horizon. I mean, that's how close we are. But the toughest thing is competing for the attention of those people and new people that are out there, and half of our population is new. Not necessarily the majority is not people that have grown up here, born here. So
I'm a transplant, so
yeah, and it's an ongoing battle. I've been able to get us on WQDR 94.7 FM with commercials, and so they're a big advertiser at the racetrack. That's part of that deal. But it takes all of it. It takes Google ads and Facebook ads and Instagram, and we have a TikTok channel, and like I mentioned, the radio, and then other people that are doing stories on us. All racetracks need to be doing that if they really want to survive.
Mark is really good because we went down in NASCAR, called him out as you should see Wake County Speedway's website if you want a good website. And that was when we were at a meeting down there. Mark he was not present at that time, and we went back, and I know I was making his head swell because
I kept saying no, they didn't.
They called him out and said, if you want to see a good website, go look at Wake County Speedways. And he has upped it since that time. That was, 3 years ago?
No, it was 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
2 years ago. And then I went this past year. Yeah.
So, instrumental in making it a success and putting our story out there.
I want to say something about, and you asked me, getting back to your original question, I sound like a certain presidential candidate. I went all over the place.
You weaved it.
Yeah, I weaved it, yeah. And now we're coming back. We're coming back. About the racers, though, I wanted to make sure, and this is Charlie actually got me to do it. I didn't come up with this idea, but, I executed it. He said, man, I'd really like to showcase our drivers. These guys don't get recognition, and no one sees them in the helmet and down in the racetrack in the car. So I made it a point with our track photographers, and we started, we're getting people coming out to take photos, and some of these photographers are really good. So I find the good ones with talent and try to hook them in and say, hey, can be our regular person to take, bio profile shots of our drivers, and we've done the same thing for our staff. That's the picture of Mr. Brown that I sent to you. And add those to the website and try to put the basic information on there. And all I did is just pattern it after what I've seen on like NASCAR.com. I mean, why not? Why can't you have that on the grassroots level? So
see, he's got all that in queue for when that video board goes up.
Yep.
I can see your vision right now.
You can see these drivers. The fans don't see every driver. Yeah, they get interviewed. If you're on the podium, they're going to see you. They're going to, recognize. But that's the same people over and over and over, it seems like. So I want to showcase every driver that comes to our facility to have their picture in front of all the fans that are sitting there cheering and enjoying watching them race.
That was part of the whole point of this podcast was, you might know the car, you don't know the guy behind it.
Exactly. Nate.
Let's give the guys a place where they can sit down, tell us your story, right? It's, as I told you guys earlier, I've told my story, right, a million times on here, right? I want to hear everybody else's. What got us into this world of poor financial decisions, and why do we keep going back? Why do we keep going back? Why do we keep trying to go faster? And a lot of it comes down to it's fun. We're having fun. The people that keep us connected to it and push us to do better.
And I'm actually glad that you walked in that bathroom and said, this isn't going to work. Because now I'm intrigued. I'm actually looking forward to going to seeing a scoreboard, a vision board at the track. I'm looking forward to standing in line while I'm waiting for my nachos.
And watching the race.
Watching the race. And whenever I see the gentleman sitting on the golf cart with his granddaughter in his lap watching fireworks, I'll say, that's Mr. Brown. I saw him on that podcast. I know who he is. I'm going to walk by him and do this number.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Is that what they do?
It's hanging loose, right?
Yeah, that's the old. Yeah,
that's what it is.
Yeah, that would you be coming back from the beach, and somebody would go, you go, and they go, and the surf was up. So yeah, but my enjoyment, I take my grandkids by the hands, and we walk by the stands, going to the candy dropper or going to get them candy or something to eat. and I enjoy watching the people enjoying the show. I mean, I'm just going along, and I've been there so long now. Everybody, hey, Mr. Brown, so I'm the elder statesman there.
Yeah. Hey, and I want to mention one thing real quick, and it also goes back to your earlier question about what is it like when you go there beginning to sing. The short answer of it is that Wake County Speedway is like a little county fair, and a race breaks out.
Exactly. It
feels, it looks, it smells
it does.
like a county fair with the food. We have food trucks and all sorts of stuff, and ice cream, and then all the kids and the families there, and then a race breaks out in the middle.
Well, I'm excited. Now I got to go check the schedule.
We're going to have to go check this out, get some notes.
Is there a special day that's just Chevrolet Day? Because I don't know. I might invite Nate to go with me.
You come by.
We said we wanted to watch racing. Yeah. We don't want to watch breakdowns.
Well, on that note, well, I really enjoyed having you guys today. Mr. Brown, and you as well, Mark. I'm fascinated by it. I know there's a bunch of other things that you didn't speak about today that I'm sure will come to your mind. I'm looking forward to hearing more about the Bull Run. Is that what it's called?
Bull Bash.
Bull Bash.
Well, Bull Bash Winter Series.
You got to come and see our little bull. Is a character. I mean, a little concrete bull that we found.
Yeah.
Because people can people sit on it and have their picture taken and everything?
Yes, they do. And what it was I was driving along and I saw this bull on this little pedestal, so to speak. It was on a crate or some little skid that they could move it around, and it was listing. And I told Mr. Hansen, I said, man, that would look good at the track. And lo and behold, we went and made contact with the people that own that, and he donated it to the track.
Wow.
Painted it. We put it up. It's sitting right up by our souvenir trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Kids take pictures on it, and it just...
I call him Pitbull.
Well,
it's not official.
We have a mascot too.
Checkers. Yeah.
Checkers. We bought him a legend car, a convertible legend car that he drives out into, so he can see everybody. But
it seems like you don't go to Wake County Speedway just to watch racing. You go there. It's a festival. It's a festival of cars race. Is almost what it seems like to me.
Yeah.
So,
if you like watching people, perfect place.
Well, where should we direct people to go to at the end of this episode? Should we the website, the Facebook page?
Yeah,
where
website.
Should they go to?
Website,
yes. Website, wcspeedway.com.
Okay, it's going to be in the lower third right there.
Okay, yeah, and
with the magic of editing.
Yeah, and our Facebook page is the main place, but we are on Instagram and, like I said, TikTok, and we've got a small and burgeoning YouTube channel, trying to build that out.
Yep. What do you, just as a closer, do you guys know much about Cletus McFarland and what he's done down there with the Freedom Factory in Florida? It used to be DeSoto Speedway, and he bought it up a couple of years ago.
I do not. We go down and we see New Smyrna and we see Volusia. Yeah. New Smyrna is an asphalt track. Volusia's a dirt track.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And last year we had a guy come up from Volusia, and he said, well, when you come down there, you got to come see me. Mm-hmm. And he had this thing called a Hillbilly Hilton. I said, what in the heck is a Hillbilly Hilton? Well, they had built this thing, and then they built it at one level, and then they come along and put banners in front of it so they couldn't see, so they built up another stage of it. Mm. So, drinking buddies would go up there. You had to know somebody to get there. He toured us all around the facility in his little buggy. And
so it's a glorified treehouse.
Well, it was, but we got our name in it.
Yeah.
We all signed our names.
Signed our names in the rafters, yeah.
So, speaking of, when you guys are done, I've got a hood over here. I'd love to get you guys to sign it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, we're coming up on time, so I think we're going to wrap it up there. We'd definitely love to have you guys back again. I feel like there's a lot more stories.
I think we need Charlie Hansen here.
I think we need to get Charlie here.
Yeah, Charlie would be. He's a talker.
Maybe we could do that right before your that series kicks off. Maybe first next year, if not before.
Yeah,
I'd love to hear that. Maybe have some pictures of that new board you have up.
Yeah,
that would be great.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to call it there. As always, I'm Nate the Fast Plumber on Instagram. You can follow me there.
And I'm Ernie at 105 Life. We're on Facebook, TikTok, a little bit everywhere.
A little
YouTube,
bit everywhere. Yeah,
everywhere.
trying our best. And we're going to try and get out to even more places if we can.
And you'll be seeing us. I'm going to step over to Wake County Speedway, see what they're all about.
We're going to take a field trip.
Hey, I'll give you a card. You can call me, and your entrance will be on me.
Thank you very
We
much.
appreciate it,
brother.
guys.
Thank you. See you guys next time.